Hello, I am August Radio Project and I am a full-time busker. Today I'm going to answer the internet's most asked questions on busking, as well as some other questions that were sent in from the subscribers. Shout out to you guys. Let's get stuck in. The number one most Googled question on busking is busking legal? Here in the UK, busking on public land is legal as long as you're over the age of 14. From what I've heard from others, it sounds like we do have it pretty good here in the UK. There isn't really that much prohibiting us buskers from doing what we do best. Now, different local councils tend to set out their own regulatory guidelines, which vary from place to place. And this is exactly why I make my busking adventure videos, where I travel to different places and go through the guidelines, as well as the best pitch recommendations, to give my fellow buskers the inside knowledge should they want to go and visit those places too. Kind of spares you the need to surf through the various council websites and try and figure out these busking code of conducts. The second most Googled question on busking is busking a job? Yes, it is. I would say that most buskers probably label their job title as musician, and for me that is the case, but most of my income comes from busking, like currently about 90 to 95%. Another reason I like to share these videos on busking is to spread the awareness to other musicians that busking is a viable way to make a living. Before I started busking, I had no idea that you could make enough to sustain a living. I also had no idea the many opportunities that would come my way as a direct result of playing out there on the street. If you're looking to make money as a musician through paid events, gigs, function work, session playing, I found the most effective way of getting that kind of work is actually through busking. Being seen by the various event organizers or artist managers. It certainly worked better than any other way I've tried to approach that kind of work. I have a whole video about it called Life as a Full-Time Busker on my channel. It kind of goes a lot more in depth, so check out that video. Is busking a good job? In my opinion, it's the best job I've ever had. I spend an average of 3 to 4 hours a day playing music, doing what I love the most. I have complete and total autonomy on my own life. I'm free from having a boss or having to attend meetings I don't want to go to. I live completely on my own schedule. I can use my free time to work on the other aspects of my music career, which in my case is sort of centered around this YouTube channel. Is it good money? I guess that's a matter of perspective. Which leads me to Google's third most popular question: do buskers make a lot of money? Again, it's a matter of perspective. But I've been playing music now for over 20 years. Let's just say I started young. And I look a lot younger than I am. Shh, don't tell anyone. And I'd say in that time I've been a working musician, as in I've done things to earn money through the music, for about 13 years. I played in a touring band for 8 years who released singles and albums and did all the typical things that a working band would do. I've done a bit of session work. I've done things like teach guitar, different bits and pieces, but above all, busking has been by far the best for money. In relative terms, as a busker, you're not gonna earn lots of money compared to other lines of work. I wouldn't recommend it if you want big bucks. You're in it to splash the cash. However, if you are looking for good ways to earn money and good money as a musician, then I'd say it's 100% worth it. Now, I don't busk for the money. Don't get me wrong. I busk because it's a true passion of mine. Playing and performing music is what lights me up. But on average, I'd say I make between 80 to 150 pounds per day. I usually shoot for 100. For those that aren't aware of kind of standard music industry rates, it would take 54,900,000 Spotify streams to earn 150 pounds. A function gig might pay you 150 pounds for playing a couple of hours, maybe even more. But try getting 4 to 5 function gigs a week. It's a difficult task. When I played in my old band, and bearing in mind we were like an original music band, it took about 3 years before we started to get paid anything more than 150 pounds per gig. With busking, as long as you're well rehearsed and somewhat accomplished, you can do that as soon as you get started. You also have to consider the fact that you will get offered paid opportunities through going busking. As I've already said, events, gigs, function work. Most recently, I am in a musical my first ever musical theatre performance, after the directors of the musical saw me busking in Bristol. And that's a paid gig. It's definitely a different way of working when compared to a salaried job. You have to be prepared for those kind of slow moments that can cause a little bit of stress. But on the contrary, if you do get a good weather window, there's nothing to stop you heading out and entertaining, filling those streets with music until you're overflowing with those shiny coins. Question 4. Do buskers pay tax? Yes, busking is a form of taxable income. So here in the UK, the HMRC, the tax government people, that's the true technical term, say you should declare any profit you've made that's over £1,000 within a tax year. So technically speaking, if you earn over £1,000 through busking in a tax year, you should declare that. But you don't actually have to pay any tax on your profits until you've made over £12,750 in a tax year. The Musicians Union have a really solid page on all things tax when it comes to being a self-employed musician, and I actually used this page to kind of sort out my own tax. It's super detailed and I found it really helpful. As the MU recommend, I registered myself as a musician/entertainer, and I did my tax return as any other self-employed person would this gone January. The beauty of being a musician/entertainer, it means you have a fair few opportunities to claim expenses. Any travel, purchase of musical instruments, musical equipment, leads, mics, strings, plectrums, any recording you do at the studio, anytime you've had to pay for rehearsal space, that week away to the Mediterranean coast that you took for inspiration. I'm just kidding, but you get the idea. Also, I am not by any means advocating for tax fraud, and I'm also not saying in any way that I personally do this or telling anyone that they should, but as a busker, 90% of your income is cash donations that have no recorded proof of transaction, so there is nothing to stop you purchasing things with that cash and not putting it in your bank and then therefore having to claim it. Although from my experience, it is way easier to put your cash in the bank. Doing your weekly shopping with 5 and 10p's would be highly inconvenient. Number 5, why is busking called busking? People love to Google some Google stuff, don't they? Googling all day. The verb to busk, from the word busker, comes from the Spanish root word buscar. I have no idea if I pronounced that right. Which means to seek. So really, we're all seekers, like Harry Potter or Draco Malfoy. Okay, I'm gonna answer some of the questions that were sent to me by some absolutely rad subscribers. Do you ever perform original works whilst busking? Yes. In fact, I currently play a set that lasts around an hour and a half, and I would say 50% of those songs are originals. I think there's this notion that as a busker you have to play really well-known covers that everyone's gonna know. But from my experience, it's less about the songs you're playing and more about how you're playing them. It's the performance itself that really matters. If you're performing well and you're giving off a positive energy, brightening up an otherwise dull high street or market square, then that's what people really appreciate. You're adding vibrancy through music, and that music doesn't necessarily have to be well known. Of course, I think you should play covers. I'm not saying you shouldn't. And when it comes to playing covers, I think it's really important that they're songs that you also like as a performer. That way you can play them with true authenticity, and your audience will respond to that. If you're playing a song just because it's popular, because you know people know it, but secretly you really don't enjoy playing that song, or you don't even really like that song, then I think the public will feel that. It's why I don't play any Ed Sheeran songs. Sorry, Ed, I'm just not a fan. Or anything from the top 20 charts for that matter. That's why I like to play Green Day and Blink-182 songs. I can play them with true authenticity, and I think people respond to that. Question 7. Have you ever sang off key or not hit the right note? And how did people react? Of course I have, all the freaking time. I think this happens more than non-performers actually realize. Even your favorite artists and bands are hitting wrong notes and making mistakes. It's part of the magic of a live show. It should be slightly raw. It shouldn't be completely polished. You should play things with feel and feeling. Go watch a video of Jimi Hendrix playing live and compare it to a recorded version. He definitely doesn't hit the right notes all the time, but he plays with feel and he plays with energy. The songs sound completely different to the records, but you feel it. And I think it's the same for every live performance. Most of the time, especially with busking, as your audience are constantly moving, nobody notices if you hit the wrong note or play in the wrong key or make a mistake. And the more time you spend performing and busking particularly, the more rehearsed you get, so the less likely you will make mistakes. But also, the better you learn to deal with it when you do. You learn not to pull a face and make it obvious. You learn not to get upset over it. You learn how to just maintain confidence even if things are kind of falling apart. And that is so valuable if you want a career as a performer. And through busking, you can do that in a no pressure environment. Number 8, does having a card reader put people off or does it draw them in? Are most of your donations cash or taps? I have found that it varies from place to place. If you're busking somewhere that sees a lot of buskers, the chances are that your footfall have seen card readers before and therefore are more than happy to give you a tap. If you're somewhere that doesn't get many buskers, then I tend to find people are a lot more skeptical. Sometimes the card reader draws attention because it's a bit of a novelty. People think it's funny that a street entertainer now takes card. And some people applaud it. They're like, good for you for keeping up with the times. I think it's well worth getting one if you can. You do get a few more donations, and I think it gives you a slight level of legitimacy. People are like, wow, you must be taking this seriously. You have a card reader. As for cash to card ratios, it's still 90% cash. Like if I make £100 in a day, it's probably between £5 and £10 on card. Question number 9. What do you do with all your coins? Great question. As I've already said, I put them in the bank. I know some buskers seek out those coin to note machines. You sometimes get them in Sainsbury's, and that way they have the money in notes and then they can put it in their bank or maybe, buy the lunch or something. Most banks have a desk for paying in coins, or most metro banks now have a coin machine in them where you tip all your coins in the machine and that goes straight into your bank account. This is particularly useful as most towns now have metro banks, and it means you can finish your busk and immediately go and pay all your donations into your bank, which saves you having to carry them around. Makes you slightly less vulnerable, I guess. Or if you really wanted to, you could go and do your weekly shop with your 10p's. I wouldn't want to be that checkout clerk. Number 10, last question for this video anyway. What is the most amazing thing that has happened as a direct result of busking? Whoa, so many amazing things. I could sit here all day and reel off so many moments. Every single day I head out, I am amazed by the kindness of strangers. And through their generosity, it has made me a kinder, more compassionate human. It's made me realize that on a human to human level, people are rad. They're really cool. Get off Twitter, stay away from the news, speak to people in real life, and mix in a bit of live music. People are so cool. And that's definitely the most amazing thing to come out of busking. I'd also say the fact that it's become my full-time job. I went out for a busk one day, realized the potential in it, spoke to some other buskers, and here I find myself living my dream, literally. 3 to 4 years ago, I sat in a day job at a desk, dreaming of having a life where I was in the control seat, where I had autonomy, where I didn't have to follow someone else's schedule. And I would also spend all day playing and performing music, where music is my everything. It's all I ever have to think about. And then also this YouTube channel. I have wanted to make YouTube videos and have a thriving YouTube channel for like 10 years. And I have attempted it on multiple occasions. And this is by far the most successful I've ever been. And not only just to make videos, but to make videos that genuinely help people, that connect me with like-minded musicians and buskers, and people that feel the same way about life that I do. Cultivating this community with you guys that genuinely seem to care. It's amazing. It's so sick. It's incredible, and I am so stoked on where I am, and I am even more excited to see where it goes. I'm just gonna keep uploading. Keep trying to push as much knowledge that I absorb to you all, and keep trying to push the boundaries. see where we can go with this. Woo! This was fun. We should do it again. If you have questions for the next time I do a Q&A, put your questions in the comments below. Maybe my 1,000 subscriber special, or 2,000 or 5,000, depending on how quickly things go. Maybe I'll do another one then. Thank you so much for watching this video, for giving me your time. I hope you got something useful out of it. Give it a like if you did, and hit subscribe. Don't be a stranger. Become a part of this rad community. And if you are a true fan, turn the notifications on. I am August Radio Project. I make videos every week that come out on Mondays. Until next week, click the one on the screen, maybe watch that. Go and check out the others on the channel, and peace, love, happiness. See you soon.